Federal, Federal Match, Winchester, CCI, Remington. Large or small rifle primer? Which one should I be using? Alright, so the goal here is to test 308 large primer brass, 308 small primer brass, and all the brands of primers that are commonly available to me. Easier said than done. So the way to test all these primers against one another are to eliminate all the other factors possible. So I've got here once fired small primer Starline brass and once fired large primer Starline brass. So all of this brass has been fire formed in my gun. The case capacity has been expanded from its original dimensions, and I'm going to size them all on the same setting with my Forster full-length sizing die. The important thing here is testing the large versus small primer brass, the brands of primers for consistency, and eliminating as many variables as possible. Not so much the powder. But to ensure the quality of the test, I feel it's important to use a high quality powder that's extruded, ignites easily, is not temperature sensitive, and has a track record of providing low standard deviations and extreme spreads. So I'm going to use the same charge of Vitavori N150 in all of the testing today. Now, can you guess which bullet we're going to use? What's the gold standard for consistency and accuracy in a 308? You probably already know. 168 Match King. You know, something I've never understood that I see all the time, and I'm sure you've seen it too, is people go out of their way to make a video to test something, and halfway through the video they will change something and just completely ruin the results. So I'm getting the seating primers, and this is my first time taking a look at a lot of these brands. First thing I noticed about the Federal primer is it's just a real nice looking primer. The outside's silver, it's got a nice even gold inner cup to it and a green priming compound. Just looks nice. I don't know if I mentioned it, but I'm doing 10-shot groups with each of the primers. This is the Federal Gold Medal Match primer, and it basically looks the same as the Federal Standard Small primer. Here's the CCI primer. Since I started reloading, I've used almost exclusively CCI primers. I'm not really sure why. There's no reason. I've just started with them and I've always stuck with them till now. Here's the Winchester 41. It's brass in color, inside and out, with a red priming compound. Here's the Remington 7.5. It's brass colored and it's got a orangish red compound. And one thing I will say is these feel the nicest when I seat them out of all the primers so far. Alright, switching over to large primers on the AccuPrime here. Just gotta swap out these stems to the large. And here is the Federal 210 standard large primer. It's red inside there. Real quick, one thing I noticed with the Federal large rifle primer is they sit very low below the primer pocket. So here's the Federal Gold Medal Match. Pretty much looks the same as the standard Federal primer. Also sits below flush. The CCI number 200 large primer. Looks like a yellow compound in there. Feels nice. Here's the Winchester large primer. Seems kind of dark in color. Maybe it's old. Lastly, the 9.5 Remington large primer. Unlike the small ones, these are silver instead of brass colored. And I tell you what, these Remington primers feel really good when you see them. Each one is going to get 43.2 grains of N150, a nice middle of the road charge, with a very nice case fill just below the shoulder. And of course, in getting rid of all the variables possible, won't be crimping any of these. No crimp. Don't want that to seeing all the bullets to 2.8 or magazine length. Alright, so I got the Sig Cross set up here, getting the chronograph reset. I cleaned the barrel before I came out here. I fired 10 fouling shots with Federal Gold Medal Match, which is the same bullet, the Sierra Match King. So the copper jacket fouling in the barrel will be the same as our test loads. I'm going to be shooting 10 shot groups with each primer. I'm going to wait 10 minutes in between and clean the barrel with a single patch in between each test load. So I guess that's about it. Let's do it.
Nice rounded primer, should be good for the rest of these. Looks like our velocity is around 2480. Group's looking pretty good so far. $24.71. Easy button, slow back. A screaming hot load. feel like I'm shooting good today. Unfortunately, it's like the CCI primers I've been using for years are not so consistent. That's why we're doing this, so we can shoot better groups from here on out. 2457. Spread on these CCI primers is crazy. It's like the Federals are about equally as hot as the CCI primers. Around 2500. Alright. Twenty-four, 75. $24.90. Well, we've shot 3 shots. I guess it's already out. Yes, 40. Well, the federal small primers.
And my phone ran out of memory. So what happened? Obviously, our brass looks beautiful. Small primer brass, nice and rounded. Large primer, all nice and rounded. No pressure because it was a low powder charge. But let's take a look at the groups before we get to the more important stuff. So here's all the groups with the large primer brass and the large primers. You can pause this and look at it if you'd like to. The two best performers were the Federal Gold Medal Match, had an SD of 8.6 and an extreme spread of 25. And almost identical, the close second was the Remington 9.5, had an SD of 7.3 and an extreme spread of 26.2. Here are the groups with the small primers and small primer brass. Again, the best performers were the Gold Medal Match Federal with a standard deviation of 6.2 and extreme spread of 23. The Remington 7.5 had a standard deviation of 8.2 and extreme spread of 25. These were the two best performers again. They were almost identical. And cool thing here is I'm pretty sure this is actually the best group I've ever shot in my life. This is a 0.6 inch 10 shot group at 100 yards. All right, my key takeaways from all this were the overall better groups were shot with the large primer brass. The small primer brass, I expected it to shoot better. It did shoot the best group, but overall, with all the different primers, the large primer brass shot better, which I'm totally fine with that because large primer brass is easy to find. I can pick it up anywhere. I could go to the store and get some. The small primer brass, I have to special order it, so I'm not complaining there. In both the large and small primers, the Federal Gold Medal Match and the Remington primers performed the best. They had the lowest SD and extreme spread, and they performed almost identical. The only difference was the price. The Remington primers were about $9 per sleeve, where the Federal Gold Medal Match I paid $13.99, $12.99, $13, $14 per sleeve of primers. And the last thing I noticed worth taking note of was the Winchester in both small and large primer brass was the hottest. They both averaged about 20 feet per second faster than the rest of the primers. So from now on into the future, I'm probably going to be shooting large primer brass and Remington or Federal Gold Medal Match primers. All right, so now I've got primers figured out. It's time to start messing around with powder and bullets. I'm going to be working up a hunting load for mule deer next season. So if you've got any suggestions for 308 bullets and powder, put them in the comments below. And I'd like to take y'all along with me and my future reloading endeavors, hunting and fishing trips, so hit that subscribe button. Thanks.